Take a knee and cipher rage against the dying of the light. This is the Disenfranchised Podcast, that podcast all about those franchises of one, those films that fancy themselves full-fledged franchises before falling flat on their face after the first film. I am your host, Stephen Foxworthy, and joining me as always, the man who has never yet been ready to be a ranger, it's Tucker. Hey, Tucker.
Hi, Stephen. How's it going?
It goes, my friend. How about yourself?
It's okay. My back's feeling a little better.
That's good. We had a doozy of a week last week, I gotta say.
That's true. And on my end of it, I was putting together a kiddie pool for the boy, and I bent down to plug
There's your
the
first
little
mistake
hole,
right there.
and there was a pain, and the pain was intense. And so I tried to run away from it. I don't know if you've seen that show Ridiculousness, where they show internet videos, and one of the segments is like people running away from the pain. Like they hurt themselves and they just like start running around in circles. So I tried to do that. I tried to run away from the pain and it didn't work. Actually, it got worse. To the point where I had collapsed onto the ground and was having trouble breathing because I was in so much pain. You ever have so much pain that it takes your breath away, Steven? Ever happened?
Yes, I have, Tucker. Yes,
Doesn't that fucking suck? Doesn't that fucking suck? Isn't it the
really
worst?
Fucking sucks. It is absolutely, actually the worst.
The actual worst, yeah.
And
so I just sat on my porch, just like sprawled out. And I was like, I might not be able to move, you guys. Yeah, it was real bad. It was real bad for a while, but
I'm glad you're feeling better. For my part, I was just out of town, but yeah. That was my doozy
sort of deal.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're back this week. Unfortunately, our friend and co-host Brett Wright is not able to join us. He had a last minute, got called away to the planet Ephetos. We wish him a very speedy return, and hopefully he doesn't get caught in any storms that render his ship incapacitated.
Hey, as long as he's got the distress beacon handy,
and
fine.
It has a tall peak enough to like keep it from any electromagnetic disturbance.
Yeah, dude, yeah. Maybe that's why it was on Earth. You think?
Yeah. You think?
Because the electromagnetic field and all that shit. I don't know. I mean, you could have done it on another planet. Why was it on Earth? Why?
Relatability, I guess? Question mark?
What? No, look, we already know that they're Earth people and the Earth is dead. Like, why do they have to go there? I don't see why they have to go there.
Titan AE. Future episode of this podcast, Titan AE.
I haven't seen that since it came out. That came out when I was at the movie theater. I watched it like 3 times. I thought it was pretty rad.
I have never seen it ever. So
it's pretty okay. Go. Your boy Matt Damon's in it.
Yeah. That one and Treasure Planet came out right around the same time, and the two movies that made America go, wait, are we ready for animated sci-fi?
I was.
Tucker was.
The rest of the world was not.
Nope, pretty much not.
I loved Treasure Planet, and I loved what was the other one that Disney did around that time? That was kind of similar.
Atlantis.
Atlantis, yes.
Yeah.
That I thought
The Lost
really
Kingdom.
Cool
that was
too.
also
yes.
really. I mean, that one's just Stargate. Really, when you get right down to it, that's just Stargate. Anyway, Tucker, we are continuing our Gettin Jiggy in July theme month with yet another Will Smith. I shudder to call it a classic, but it's here all the same. Tucker, what are we covering this week?
We're talking about After Earth. I'm sorry, or in the way these characters in this movie all talk, Off to Earth.
We're going to get into that. Oh, we're going to fucking talk about that. After Earth, Off to Earth. The 2013 Will and Jaden Smith vehicle, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, co-written by Gary Whitta, and co-starring along with Jaden and Will, the great Sophie Okonedo, the great Zoe Kravitz, Glenn Morshower, Christopher Hivjo. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Christopher, I am so sorry. I should know by now. And David Denman, and an uncredited Isabel Furman. That's right, Esther the orphan herself, in an uncredited role in this movie. What a cast, Tucker. I don't even know if I can bring myself to say it, but I'm contractually obligated to do so. What a picture.
Look, this is a fantastic sci-fi original. This is probably one of the best sci-fi originals I have ever seen.
It is.
And in the context of
Yes.
that, this is great. This is great. In the context of I'm going to guess this had a budget of about 100 million at least. $100 million movie.
130 is the reported budget. 130 million.
Garbage. And even the way it's shot, and even the way that its characters are included, this is definitely sci-fi original material. You have a star, right? But you have that star incapacitated in one spot so that he can shoot all his shit in a couple days.
And you take
At
all
the
the
most.
emotions of every character and just pull them right out. Everything that makes Will Smith compelling as a star, everything that makes you want to go see a movie that he's in, if you tell him not to do that. And usually if you're doing something like that, if a director is doing something like that with an actor, like challenging their star persona, 9 times out of 10, they're making them do something interesting. We're doing something interesting with that. We're not doing anything interesting with it here. And it's really frustrating because there are moments where you see it shine through. And that makes every other moment in this film 10 times more frustrating because you realize what he could be doing right now.
Here's the deal. The writing in this movie is almost there. It's frustratingly close to being passable writing. Frustratingly close.
So frustratingly
But
close.
then you tack that accent on top of it and every
my God.
performance just comes off awful. There are times when I think with what he was given, Will Smith did great in this. I think with what he was given, Jaden Smith did great in this, I thought. But they didn't give them shit. They didn't give them anything that they could do, anything that I could see through to see that performance. I know that performance was there, but you can't see it because the writing is subpar and that accent is the nail in the fucking coffin.
For me, it's a problem with M. Night Shyamalan scripts is that the writing is always very earnest but very flat, and that's kind of lethal. And you really need a good hook to pull it off, which is, I think, why stuff like The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable works really well, and why some of his later high concept stuff, like Knock at the Cabin or Old,
I like that one,
or even Glass and Split, work really well. He's got a really good high concepts that kind of help to anchor his very flat yet very earnest dialogue. Yeah. It's when he starts getting budgets, and I would put that like right around Signs and a little after, that he kind of starts to lose his grip, and like the whole boy genius aesthetic that he had kind of cultivated up to that point kind of starts to crumble.
For sure.
And this is an interestingly bizarre cross-section between M. Night Shyamalan and Will Smith, because it's these two incredible creators, like very like blockbuster, like these guys knew how to make money at one point in their careers, and they're both in a pretty distinctive career slump at this point. Yeah. And I find that unbelievably fascinating, because this does neither of their careers any favors at all.
No, I can't imagine it would.
For Will Smith, I mean, we talked about I Am Legend last week. I'm going to actually pick it up a little bit before that, because we had talked about Wild Wild West. He gets his first Oscar nomination in 2001 for Ali, but not before making the uncomfortably bad Legend of Bagger Vance. We get The Worst Men in Black
that's on
movie.
Damon too. Speaking of Matty Damon, that's on Damon too.
Sure. I think we were talking about Matty D off.
Come on.
We were talking about Matty D off mic, so that's
No, we still love both of them.
We do.
I'm sure they just it was a good paycheck, right?
I hope so. God, I hope so.
They had a meeting and they were both like we know we're both not racist, right? Like we could make this movie, right?
we're okay. We're okay.
We know, like you know that I know, and I know that you know, and so we're good. We could do this. Not a big deal.
The screenwriter we're giving some side eye, but we're okay.
Yeah, we're okay. Nobody's gonna blame us.
2002, you get the worst Men in Black film, Men in Black 2. And then the year after
Yeah,
that, you get maybe the best Bad Boys film, Bad Boys 2. I say maybe because I've not seen the two most recent ones. So I will say it's better than the first one though. So
it's
not that
certainly peak Bad Boys.
Yeah. In 2004, you get a triple decker shit sandwich with Jersey Girl, which he has an uncredited cameo in, iRobot, and Shark Tale.
You know, I was thinking about that today. Who was that supposed to be? I can't remember because it was supposed to be somebody else and they couldn't do it. And so Will Smith came and did it. Do you remember
Which
who that
one?
was supposed to be?
iRobot?
No, Jersey Girl. The cameo wasn't supposed to initially be Will Smith.
Oh, I'm going to look that up because I am not sure about that at all. Vamp for a little bit and I'll look it up.
Well, I was at the time, this is when like Smodcast had just started and nobody had ever heard anything like that before. And I was pretty into it. It was like, what, 2009-ish, I guess, when all that happened?
Sure.
And
you would know better than I would,
Jersey
for sure.
Girl. He was talking about Jersey Girl. Kevin Smith was talking about Jersey Girl and how that cameo was originally supposed to be somebody else. I want to say it was Bruce Willis, maybe? Maybe it ties into the whole he worked with Bruce Willis and then didn't want to, but that was before. No, but he had worked... Okay, so he had worked with him on Die Hard, and they got along really well.
They did.
Like, as two actors.
Right.
So I think Jersey Girl was in between that and Cop Out. It was definitely in between that and Cop Out. So maybe it was supposed to be Bruce Willis. I don't remember, but it's been bothering me all fucking day. But I haven't had the time to look it up. I wanted to during this movie, but
I'm looking to see if it's just anywhere online, and I cannot find it.
Well.
Hey, if you know, head on over to patreon.com/disenfranchisepod. Join for free and let us know in the comments because that is the official conversation of the Disenfranchised podcast right there.
Yeah, come for the main feed and stay for the additional content.
You got to drop $5 a month. I was going to say you got to drop $5 for that, but honestly, a bargain at double the price. Quite frankly,
days worth of content spanning years.
So much stuff back there. But yeah, so I mean that's his 2004, and then you get Hitch and Hitch in 2005, Pursuit of Happiness in 2006.
While you're mentioning Hitch, Jaden Smith got to do the Hitch scene where his face blows up because there's an allergy. He gets
That's
pointed.
True. Jaden Smith
as soon as that happened, I was like, "It's the Hitch! He's doing the Hitch!" And I was so happy.
Look, I'm gonna get my kid. My kid's gonna play the hits.
I clapped. When that happened, I was like, "It's the Hitch."
2006, you get Pursuit of Happiness, which is Will Smith's second Oscar nomination and Jaden Smith's first movie. We'll get into Jaden's storied, heavy air quotes there, career up to this point.
That's what bothered me about this movie the most, I think, is that you have two actors that are literally father and son.
Mm-hmm.
So they have natural chemistry. And you see it even as young... Listen, even as young as Jaden is in Pursuit of Happiness, they have natural chemistry. And I think in the scenes that they have in this together, that it's there. It's not strong because the writing's not strong. But where they fucked up is they separated them almost immediately. And they're both great on their own. But again, the material is lacking. So maybe if you had them together a little more, it would have lifted up that material a bit.
Potentially.
But no, you take your people who have natural chemistry because they are blood related and you just separate them at the beginning of the movie. And that's where the movie should have began, by the way, is at the crash. That's where the sci-fi original would have began, at the crash.
I mean, it does, but then we go back.
That's what I'm saying. We skip the go back part. Not needed. As much as they don't.
How are you going to flesh out the world, Tucker? How are we going to build out the world for all the sequels and TV shows and comic books that are going to come out of this thing?
Okay, but do they do that anyway? No. Except for telling us like everything in this world just has a bunch of sheets on it. Everything's made from bed sheets. Where they come from. Their spaceships are made from fucking bed sheets. It's all just sheets everywhere. Sheets spread across poles. What
See,
is?
because
I don't even know what that is.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The one thing I actually did enjoy about this movie is the attempts at world building, like those opening scenes with the family and like because it's got like an Ender's Game kind of quality to it, like established sci-fi. We're kind of creating. I'm going to be calling out a lot of the references that I noticed in this thing because there are so many. But like the beginning got this kind of Ender's Game thing, but you know, his dad's the most powerful guy. He doesn't measure up to his father's expectations. We don't realize it at first, but we've got this whole the wrong kid died thing happening as well, like that whole trope.
Uh,
Um,
Dewey, I've been
and
halved.
I got cut in half real bad.
Well, dude.
And yeah, that's
Never miss an opportunity to shout out Dewey Cox. Never miss it.
biopics shouldn't. There should not have been another biopic made after Dewey Cox. The fact that biopics continue to be made is an insult to the memory of Dewey Cox. Quite frankly,
Well, see, that's why the good ones have had to get creative. For example, stuff like Love and Mercy, they do the constant time jump back and forth, which is
right.
really interesting actually. And Paul Dano's fantastic in that movie. And after
I
reading
agree.
after reading half of Brian Wilson's autobiography, I think John Cusack's fantastic in that movie too.
Right. Yeah.
Before I was like, yeah, he's fine. But then when I read that book, I was like, oh no, he's actually doing it perfect.
Right. And you,
Perfect.
but you don't realize it because you honestly you don't know.
Yeah. I do.
2007, 2008, you get I Am Legend in future episode of this podcast, Hancock. When are we covering it? Sooner than you might think. And then also in 2008, you get another Oscar grab, 7 Pounds. Unsuccessful, completely unsuccessful, but it's an attempt.
I had no interest. I didn't see it. You'd think that since it was a Will Smith thing, I would have to see it, but no. There's sometimes where I'm just like, I don't think that's for me. Like, good for him. I hope he does well, but I don't think it's for me.
But that's kind of the thing is starting here, like starting, I would say in like 2004, 2005, the bloom starts to get a little off the rose. Like, not everything is a guaranteed hit for Will Smith anymore. I remember sometime around 2008 or so, he's at the Oscars, and he's like, man, y'all make some really good movies. He goes, the only difference between the stuff you guys make and the stuff I make is that my stuff makes money. And I'm like, it's a good joke, but not as true now as it used to be, really. Because I'm like, what was your last thing? It was Hancock. And Hancock doesn't, we'll get to it at some point, but it doesn't do that well. I mean, it does okay, but not as good as like other Will Smith films. And then 7 Pounds is, and then Men in Black 3. By Men in Black 3, so he takes 4 years off between 7 Pounds and Men in Black 3. For 4 years, he is just gone. Which is another thing that's really hurting him and putting him behind the 8 ball, is there's no like public recognition going on with him around this time.
What year did you say that was? Between what years?
Between 2008 and 2012.
Okay. I'm trying to think of when Lost and Found came out. I think that came out earlier in the 2000s. That's the last record that he's put out was Lost and Found. I was wondering if that's what he was doing, but that came out in like, I want to say 2004, maybe.
I was going to say 2005. He's got a couple music videos for Party Starter and Switch.
Yes, that was his dance. He was trying to have a dance, his own dance. It's
his own
Switch.
Dance, yeah. Which
didn't
take off. Didn't happen.
It's a well-produced record, but overall, it's pretty fucking mid.
Yeah. I don't remember anything about the song, but I remember at the beginning, it was like, oh yeah, I heard he got that hot new thing. It's called Switch. And I'm like, is it a hot new thing though? Is it a hot new thing?
You're, about 12 years too early, Will Smith. You could have done a collaboration with Nintendo, dude, in 2017. For sure.
So then Men in Black 3 comes out, and it's supposed to be this big return to form. You're getting Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones and Barry Sonnenfeld all back together, and that underwhelms, that underperforms. And then his immediate follow-up to that is this movie.
No.
And so he's immediately then thrown back on his heels yet again. We'll talk next week about what he does after that and his slow and steady attempts to rebuild his career. But at this point, he's pretty badly tarnished. And I think we say that in, if I recall correctly, I think we say that in the I Am Legend um, episode as well. Like, this is kind of that. I think we said that one's kind of the beginning of the end for Will Smith, such as it is.
You didn't want listen to the episode before you put it together, Steven?
Not the whole thing, man.
That's a revisited requirement.
I'm a busy man. I got stuff
All
going
right.
on.
Oh, that's cool. No, yeah, that's fine. No big deal. Your intro was pretty rad, though. I liked it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I like that yours is stream of consciousness and mine is very scripted.
Yeah, unbelievably scripted.
So it's two completely different things.
Absolutely.
And I like it.
Well, the improv background precludes itself to top of the dome kind of stuff. So that's just what I do.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
And then meanwhile, you have M. Night Shyamalan, who has this kind of meteoric rise out of nowhere. He does 2 very small independent films, Praying with Anger, which no one has seen, a movie that literally does not exist, and then a movie that literally fewer people have seen called Wide Awake with Rosie O'Donnell, apparently. And then just explodes with The Sixth Sense in 1999. When Will Smith is heading straight to the Wild Wild West, M. Night Shyamalan is making a name for himself with The Sixth Sense. His follow-up to that, Unbreakable, the next year, I think is incredible.
Those are really good, yeah.
I really liked Signs when it came out. I have not revisited it.
Yeah.
But I remember really enjoying that movie. I saw that one in theaters. And then The Village comes out, and I remember liking it at the time, but thinking not as good. And at this point, he's become, based off the strength of those last 3 movies, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and Signs, he's become known as the twist director. And
what the twist?
What a twist! Oh, God bless Robot Chicken. Doesn't sound a thing like M. Night Shyamalan at all, and I think that's the best part. But that is something he can't get out from under until people just stop caring. Like, it literally takes people just not caring anymore for him to be able to get out from under that whole twist thing. But The Village, Lady in the Water, and The Happening all have very underwhelming twists. The twist of The Happening is that anyone would cast Mark Wahlberg as a science teacher. Really, that's the big twist.
Hey there, Win. How's it going? What's going on, Win?
Say hi to your mother
for me.
The oft lampooned, memed line from that movie when Betty Buckley's like, "You're gonna murder me and steal my stuff, aren't you?" And Wahlberg's just like, "What? No!" It's
How
amazing,
Wahlbergian,
right? What? No. Like, it's one of you're like, we couldn't just get like one other take, just one. We couldn't get another take. The Happening is the last M. Night Shyamalan movie I saw in theaters until Glass, because the promise of Glass was too good. And then I saw Glass and Old in theaters. I didn't get a chance to see Knock at the Cabin. Brett and I actually saw Old in theaters together. I treated it to a movie.
Since?
Old?
Seen Knock at the Cabin? Knock at the Cabin. Have you seen
that? No, Knock at the Cabin rules. Yeah, no. I saw
dude, it's really good. I liked it a lot. Yeah, fuck
yeah.
It's really good.
But, I mean, he's saddled by the twists of The Village and The Lady in the Water. This is also, Lady in the Water is where he gives himself, like, his biggest role as, let me check my notes here, the savior of humanity.
Yeah, dude.
Like, he's had cameos and everything up to this point. And then in Lady in the Water, he's just, like, one of the 3 leads of the movie. And his character is the savior of all mankind. Like, that's the role he plays. And you're just like, fucking really, dude? Fucking really?
Look, I didn't see Lady in the Water because I saw The Village, and I did not dislike The Village, but after it, I could very much tell that if I ever watched it again, I would hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me be like, maybe I don't go see his next movie. Maybe I don't.
I saw The Signs, The Village, Lady in the Water, and The Happening in theaters. Saw all 4 of those in theaters. And diminishing returns on everyone. I was the only person at my screening of Lady in the Water. It was just me. The guy
Paul
that was
Giamatti, though. That's what would have gotten me there. If I had gone, it would have been Paul Giamatti. But
And
even Paul Giamatti wasn't strong enough to bring
he's
me and see that in the theater.
he's doing okay, but he's doing too much. And
Yeah.
Shyamalan is not a strong enough director to tell him to pull it back.
To rein him in,
Right.
you gotta be able to rein those guys in, you know.
Exactly. And I mean, the fact that he was able to rein in Sam Jack is a feat in and of itself. Because Sam Jack's one of those guys. Like, I feel like he's great, but he's better when you've got someone to really kind of pull. We will talk about a movie where I do not feel like Sam Jack gets reined in enough. One of these days,
Yeah.
it is on our list. We will talk about it, and at that moment, you will know what it is. It's the movie I came closest to walking out on of any movie I've ever seen in theaters. Came very close to walking out on that one.
Was it Black Snake Moan?
No.
Oh.
I haven't seen Black Snake Moan. I probably should.
It's trash.
Okay. Fair enough. But then he follows up The Happening with the even more lambasted The Last Airbender, future episode of this podcast, The Last Airbender. And that one is really, really horribly received. And you start to ask yourself, like, why? Like, was this guy just a one-trick pony? Did this guy really only have one mode? And he's just kind of done with it. Because I remember, like, after Unbreakable, he's on, like, the cover of Time magazine or something with the caption, "The next Spielberg?" ? Like, and that's something a lot of people love. Like, J.J. Abrams got saddled with that at one point, too. Like, they love to try to call people the next Spielberg. There will never be another Spielberg. It's never going to happen. But, like, he had that notorious distinction, but he ran out of steam really fast. And I think it started happening when he started getting bigger budgets, when he started having fewer people, fewer checks and balances. And it's the whole theory behind the Blank Check podcast where you're like, and Shyamalan was the first director they covered on that podcast after the Star Wars prequels. But it's this idea that you have a number of successes and people think, oh, well, you get to do whatever you want now. But without the system of checks and balances, without the people creatively kind of reining you in, your worst impulses sometimes get thrown onto the screen. And I think what the conclusion Shyamalan wisely came to after this movie is that maybe smaller budgets are for him. Maybe don't give him hundreds of millions of dollars to make a movie. Maybe give him like tens of millions and see what he can do. And I think that recipe has proven successful for him over the course of the last 15 years.
I agree. Yeah, like it's really good that he was able to pull himself out of that because I think he is talented.
Or I'll say
at
10
a certain
years.
budget.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think his early films attest to that, and I think his later films attest to that. But this is the end of that middle bit where you're just like, whoa, dude, what are we doing here? Like, seriously.
Well, I would say this attests to that as well because it's just written and directed like a TV movie, man. And it's a $130 million movie, man.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is the end of it. I think this is the final check that he needs to go, what am I doing? Like, I'm not, I'm not really getting much out of these. The audiences clearly are not fans of these. Like, I need to be doing something that's more enriching and rewarding. I need to make something that people are going to gravitate toward. What did I do before? I did a horror movie with a tiny budget. People loved that. Let's try that again.
Well, and it's
we
really
get the
rad
in 2015.
It's really rad to try new things and expand as an artist, but you also have to know your limitations and you have to know what you're good at.
Exactly. And Hollywood has this, particularly these days. And this, I think Shyamalan is one of the first victims of this, where you do well in a certain realm for a certain period of time, and then they just start handing you big budgets. Now, the window for that is a lot smaller. You make one halfway decent indie movie, and they're handing you the next Marvel movie. Or in the case of the Russo brothers, you make one really good episode of television, and they're handing you the next Marvel movie. Like, that's kind of where we're at in Hollywood these days. And it's depressing as hell. Like,
oh, that was lightning.
Yeah, no, that was thunder. You don't hear lightning.
No, I saw the lightning, though. I keep seeing blue flashes in your window, and I'm like, is that a weird thing going on with the screen, or is that lightning? But I just heard that
No, that's
thunder. Holy
lightning.
fuck, dude!
Yeah, dude.
Don't die, Steven. Stay alive.
Stay
Get
alive. Well, the tornado warning is passed, so I think we're good.
You gotta get to the centermost room in your house. Woo, that was a big one.
Yeah,
Boy, I
buddy.
tell you what, that
That's
was a
like
good one. I
that's
like
like
that one.
probably a mile that way
Yeah, dude.
too. Yeah, we're having
Fantastic.
fun.
I love it. We
Podcasting
are.
in a thunderstorm. Gotta love it.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
I do
but
love
yeah,
that.
and so I think this movie is kind of a weird. It honestly it kind of reeks of desperation, both for Will Smith and for M. Night Shyamalan. And then on top of that, you've got this third desperation of Will Smith desperately trying to make Jaden a thing, which has
Oh,
been
Karate Kid
happening
should have
for
done
like.
that.
Here's the thing: he's
I
had
thought
a
he was great in
career
that.
up to this point. We're going to talk about Karate Kid next year. We're going to do it next year. We're going to wait
Cannot
for
wait.
maybe if
If that
I
thing
guess it.
comes out.
I guess well, A, if it comes out, and B, if it actually functions as a sequel to the 2010 Karate Kid movie, then we probably won't cover it.
Damn.
Yeah,
It's supposed to, because Jackie Chan's in it with Ralph Macchio, dude.
Jackie Chan apparently playing the same role, Mr. Han, that he plays in.
Why would he play someone different?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
This isn't a Quicksilver situation, Steven.
He's not doing karate though. It's
expanded universe.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we've got Jaden Smith's first movie. He does a couple of his dad's music videos, does a few episodes of a TV show called All of Us. And his first movie is his father's film, The Pursuit of Happiness, for which Will gets his first second Oscar nomination.
well
He's
deserved.
then in The Day the Earth Stood Still, the Scott Derrickson, Keanu Reeves remake, which is bad.
You know what? It's aggressively mediocre, and that's what makes it so bad.
It is.
It's just so it doesn't want to be anything but okay. But
the original is a
original
fucking masterpiece too.
Yes, that's why you don't have to be a masterpiece, but you can't just settle for okay when you're remaking a masterpiece. You have to at least make it a little bit good, a little bit fun, do something different.
To hear Derrickson tell it, the studio took over and did a lot of shit he wasn't comfortable with, which is
I believe
the
that.
point at which he decided, I'm never going to make a movie for a studio again. Studio starts like cutting my shit, I'm bailing, which is why he bowed out of the second Doctor Strange movie so late in production, because Marvel started tearing up his shit and demanding he do stuff he didn't want to do, and he's like, fine, I'm out. Which, good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jaden Smith's in that, and Karate Kid in 2010. So 2 years after Day the Earth Stood Still, there's the Karate Kid, future episode of this podcast, ? And then he does a lot of music videos because he starts his own music career.
Yeah, because he becomes a musician. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2012, he has an album come out, several music videos there. Both Willow and Jaden both kind of have a music career. And I think it's because at some point Will Smith kind of sits his kids down and is like, look, if you want to have a relationship with me, you gotta plug into something I do. Music, movies, something. But, if you want to have a relationship with me, because I'm going to be gone doing this shit a lot. Yeah. And if you want to keep up, you got to be a part of it. And I think his kids kind of feel obligated to be a part of it, which is shitty parenting, dare I say?
I don't know. Like, I really don't know because I've never been in that situation,
Sure.
But I think Jaden's fine as a musician, but the musical talent in that family, and I will tell you, as much as I love The Fresh Prince and what Will Smith did as the Fresh Prince, the actual musical talent in that family is Willow.
I mean,
she is insanely talented, dude. Have you heard any of her recent stuff?
No, I have not. I do know that she whips her hair back and forth. That I know.
Did you know she does like doom metal now, dude?
I had no idea.
And it's fantastic. She was on SNL last season or season before, and I had no idea either. And I was like, what the fuck? This is insane. And it's good. It's really, really, really good. And I've listened to her most recent record a few times, and I really like it. That's where the musical talent is in that family. That's where Jaden, you can release a record if you want to, but You don't have to because your sister's got it, dude.
All right.
She's
There you
holding
go.
it down. Don't worry about it.
I think Jaden is going to grow up to be like one of those kids who's just famous for being famous, and like have like a Hilton Kardashian kind of
Oh,
life where he just kind of goes around and
actually,
is famous places.
yeah. I do agree with you, but I just remembered that Jaden Smith was on this Childish Gambino EP called Kawaii, and he did kind of a not a rap, but more of just like spoken word poetry in one
Mm-hmm.
of the songs, and it was really good, and the delivery was really good. So maybe I don't know. Now that I totally forgotten about that, that just popped into my head. So I don't know. Maybe they're both kind of musically talented.
Well, I do like the Gambino, so
I think Willow's more of the musical talent, and Jaden is pretty good at writing poetry. It seems
okay.
like, or lyrics. Yeah.
Um, but this is Jaden's fourth movie number 4, after The Pursuit of Happiness, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and The Karate Kid. 3 years after The Karate Kid, he does this, and this seems like the big push to make him a capital M, capital S movie star. Will's in it too, kind of putting his clout, his star persona, the weight of his star persona behind Jaden, and it doesn't really work because I think this is the last. This might be the last movie he leads, and I think after this he just decides, yeah, this shit's not for me anymore. Because
Yeah.
after that, it's a lot of music videos. It's a TV show, the Baz Luhrmann show, The Get Down, and then it's just like
Oh, that was good.
a
He
couple of
was in
films here and
that.
there. Yes, he
I
was.
remember he was in that. You know who
Yeah,
else
he.
is in that? Justice Smith. Unrelated.
Oh, yeah, I do like
Justice Smith
Justice Smith.
in that show. That's
I
a
saw the
really good
TV
show,
Glow's
but it
Justice Smith.
it it ends on a cliffhanger and they didn't get renewed.
Yeah, I mean that
It's so good though.
Netflix kind of
It's
mandates that all their shows end
fuck
on
Netflix.
cliffhangers, and then they don't
Fuck
renew a
Netflix.
damn thing. No, I agree. I'm right there
Oh, I
with you.
hate them so much.
Oh, Jimmy Smits is in this? Okay, I might have to watch this.
Yeah,
Yahya
dude.
Abdul Mateen? Hell yeah.
Yes, dude. Get down on the
Shamik
get down,
Moore?
dude. Yes,
Giancarlo
dude.
Esposito? Kevin Corrigan?
Fucking yeah.
David Diggs?
hmm
I'm kind of in for this. This is kind of great.
Put it on your list.
I might have to do that. I might
It's on the Netflix.
have to do that. It is on the Netflix. But yeah, like this doesn't really give Jaden much to do either, really. Like,
No,
and
unfortunately, it
it,
should.
it's not a good showcase for his talent. And again, I think it has a lot to do with the script, and I think it has a lot to do with the direction. Because everyone has this, and again, this is a Shyamalan thing, but everyone's got this very kind of metered way of speaking. Um,
Yeah.
like you kind of called it out earlier, like this. Everyone is talking like this very earnestly. He's doing an
But
accent.
only
I can't place the
it's
accent.
very it's very, very subtle. That's why you can't place it.
Right.
Because it's just barely there.
It's kind
But
of
it's
one of
just
those
there
like
enough why you're
you
like,
tell
what?
you someone would tell him, oh, it's kind of fading in and out. He's like, oh my god, it fades in. Like
Yeah.
gets really excited about the fact that his accent kind of fades in a little. Like that's the impression
Uh
that I get.
there are times I don't think the accent slips, but the manner in which they speak sometimes slips
Mm-hmm.
because there are some times where Will Smith'll talk like this, and then there are times where Will Smith will talk like this.
Correct. Yeah,
And
and it's
that's what it kind of
almost
comes in
like
and out of.
right, and those are the moments where I think you get moments of Smith's actual charisma starting to shine through. Like for me, the most powerful moment of the movie is when they're getting ready to go to the ship and the dude with one leg gets kind of wheeled out and like kind of stops in front of him and says, I was on the plateau. You saved me and four of my friends. I just saw the face of my baby for the first time. And then Will Smith kind of, magnanimously kind of, nods. And he turns to the guy and says, stand me up. And Will Smith's like, no, you don't have to. He goes, stand me up. And the way that Smith plays that is so good. Like,
Yep.
you start to see Will Smith, and I was like, holy shit, is Will Smith gonna fucking own in this movie? Like, is this gonna be like a secret masterpiece? Is Will Smith actually gonna be really good in an otherwise shitty movie? And
Nope. Just a bookend.
it's
Because
not
they nail it at the
consistent.
end too.
They
I think
do.
they nail it at the end too, but everything in between is just such garbage. They nailed that callback to that really awesome scene.
The
That's the only
speech
two things that work in this movie.
the speech where he tells the story should be that.
It should.
Like, when he
You're
tells the
right.
story about how he um like how he ghosted for the first time. Which,
Yep.
what a fucking dumb name for a thing. It's kind of one of those like, oh, this is going to be a cool thing we can call this. We'll call it ghosting. And then ghosting ended up coming to mean something completely different.
Wow. Yeah.
Like when you just like break up with someone and decide not to tell them.
You just block them on everything.
Right. You just fade from existence really carefully.
Like a goat.
Like a goat.
Meh. Yeah.
You know what, Tucker? We're probably about 40-ish minutes, 45 minutes into this thing-ish, give or
Is it
take.
time?
It might be time. It
I think
might
it's
be
time.
time for us to brush off our friend, the coin of justice, and tackle the plot of this this behemoth in 60 seconds or less. That's right, friends. It's time for the plot in 60 seconds, the part of the show where we, at the behest of either the D6 of Destiny, or if there's two of us like there are tonight, the coin of justice, decide which of us will recount the plot of the film we're discussing in 60 seconds or less. Tucker, I have the coin of justice. I'm going to give it a flip. I need you to call it, sir.
Okay. Tails.
It is tails, you son of a bitch.
Oh, good. Oh, man. Hey, Steven, can you time yourself? I want to pee while you're doing the plot.
Fine.
I don't want to have to edit it out.
do everything around here.
Thank you, Steven. And don't be sure to be like to yourself, 30 seconds while you're doing it. Okay, you got this, Steven. I'm going to go pee. You got this, dude.
All right. My time starts. Sure, whenever. Jaden Smith is a kid. He's in this academy. He's trying to make Ranger. He's not good enough. His dad, though, is like the biggest badass of all time. And so he's got all these expectations that he can't live up to. His dad, at the urging of his mom, takes him to this planet. They shipwreck on the way there and end up on a class 1 quarantine planet called Earth, where everything has evolved to kill humans. And so he's stuck there. His dad's dying. They're the only two survivors. He's got to run across a vast swath of wilderness in order to pick up 30 seconds, an emergency beacon that's on the kind of the other side of the thing. And so he's like avoiding shit, and his dad's talking to him, and they lose touch after a big fight. And so he finds the emergency beacon right as his power comes back, and his dad can see him but not hear him. And so he gets to a high point and fires the beacon. 10 seconds, and they're eventually saved. And he ends up saving his dad's life, and his dad stands up and salutes him at the end, and he decides he wants to work with his mom.
And that is time. Well done, Steven. That was good. You didn't mention the bird, though. Remember the bird where he helped defend his babies and he became his friend and saved him and then died anyway?
That's really kind of dumb because all the babies die.
Yeah,
and the bird's like crying in rage, but then you're like, oh, maybe there was a survivor. Because David Denman is like weirdly highly rated on the IMDb page. So I'm like, maybe he's going to come back later in the movie. Nope, he doesn't. He's in like the one scene at the beginning. He's got a line, and then he is gone. Power Rangers Zone, David Denman. The Office's David Denman. And so I'm like, maybe it's him. And then it was the bird, and you're just like, wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, I guess.
Yeah. Really undercutted. It really undercut what I thought was a really sad scene where they worked really hard to get those lions or whatever they were, and then none of the babies survived, and that was really fucking sad. Like, I was
I mean,
sad when that happened.
give me one. Give me one.
One baby.
One baby. At least give me one. Make it for something instead of nothing.
Yeah.
But no, we can't do
Yeah.
that.
I don't know. I thought that was another thing about the movie I did like, was how like kind of unforgiving that scene was, and how like it made me a little sad. Like, I was like, I'm feeling an emotion while I'm watching this thing I'm watching. And that's what is really frustrating about this movie, is that there's talent there, dude. It's there.
It
It's
is.
just not pointed in the right fucking direction, dude.
It's not
Like, the
at all.
compass is off. Their compass is off, and they only got 2 like breath inhalers left.
Agreed. Now this is a story eventually, or that I apparently was crafted by Will Smith. He comes to M. Night Shyamalan with the story, and Shyamalan writes it with Gary Whitta. Let's talk Gary Whitta for a second.
Who's that?
This is a guy whose first credit was the Back to the Future Part 2 video game.
Oh, no. Which one? Do you know what platform? Does it say?
Let me check.
Because for the NES, it was the game was Back to the Future Part 2 and 3. There wasn't like a separate 2.
It
I'm
says
trying to think of what console,
Konami.
maybe PC.
It says Konami.
Japanese.
Sega.
Only, probably. Oh, a Genesis.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, that's probably Master Drive.
It says
Probably Master
arcade.
Drive. Wow.
Sega arcade. But
Oh,
yeah.
well then shit. I want to hunt that down. I didn't know that existed. It might
There
be
you go.
good. I take back what I said. I have no idea.
His first credited Hollywood screenplay, and the only one he's written up to this point, before this movie comes along, is The Book of Eli.
Oh, people like that movie.
Yeah, my dad, one of the people who likes that movie. I think it's because the book is the Bible. I think that's the reason my dad really likes it. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good movie.
It's also Denzel. My dad typically likes Denzel for the most part.
How can you not? You can't deny Denzel.
It is also directed by 2 filmmakers you quite enjoy, because it's directed by the Hughes brothers, who directed your beloved Dead Presidents.
Yeah, I do love that movie. Look, Book of Eli is a really good movie. It's just not a movie for me.
Sure.
I watched it and I was like, yeah, this is pretty rad, but I don't really have any interest in it, honestly.
You got Denzel doing Denzel things, and then you got Gary Oldman just chowing down on some scenery in that movie.
Yes, he just made a meal of that movie for sure.
Fucking eating it up. I think the only movie he goes bigger in my memory, is Leon the Professional.
Oh yeah, he's
everyone. He also goes pretty big. He goes big for Bassan. Because he goes pretty big in The Fifth Element too. He goes big for Bassan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's in the writing, I feel like.
It is.
Gary Oldman's the kind of guy who reads that and he's like, yeah, I know how to fucking do that. Let's go.
Exactly. And that's the thing about Gary Oldman. Like, was it the meme is like, you're living your life, you're on your deathbed, you've had a good life, some out of nowhere you hear someone yell cut, you stand up, you've been Gary Oldman this whole time. That's how good he is.
I like that. I didn't see that.
That's pretty funny. But his follow-up to this is Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Oh, people like that one, and people don't generally like new Star Wars.
No. But yeah, like he's...
Wait, didn't Ronnie Howard direct that?
No, Ronnie Howard directed previous episode of this podcast, Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, yeah. I wish that had been better for everyone involved, including
you and everybody else. I wish Lord and Miller had gotten the chance to actually follow that one through.
How do you waste Dong Lover
as Lando fucking Calrissian?
He's perfect for it.
That was when that casting was announced. I was like, well, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then, like,
how do you waste
Glover plays Lando as pansexual, like, right before Billy D. Williams comes out as pansexual. Like, how perfect is that?
Yeah, dude.
God, I love that so much.
Yes.
No, Rogue One is that one is Gareth Edwards mostly, and then I think he got it was that thing that they do that Lucasfilm was doing around this time with some of its directors where they'd be like, okay, we're taking you off the movie. We're going to have someone else come in and do reshoots. You can hang out and still get a credit, or you can fuck off. And like Lord and Miller fucked off, and Gareth Edwards was like, no, I'll stick around. I'll play ball. And so Tony Gilroy, who was one of the screenwriters on the film, on Rogue One, along with Gary Whitta and tons of other, like, the credited screenwriters are Chris Weitz and Tony Gilroy, John Knoll and Gary Whitta, based on characters created by George Lucas. Like, Knoll and Whitta get a story by credit. Weitz and Gilroy get screenplay credit. Gareth Edwards sole credited director, but Tony Gilroy is the guy they brought on to do the reshoots. And Gilroy is the guy who gave us, in terms of stuff he's directed, because
I was going to say, what has he directed before that?
Michael Clayton.
Okay, with George Clooney.
Yeah. Duplicity, a movie I have never heard of. And Clive Owen and Julia Roberts in Duplicity. Okay.
Yeah, it was a thing for a very, very brief time.
And then, drumroll please, previous episode of this podcast, so you tell me, because I don't remember recording this episode or barely watching this movie, The Bourne Legacy.
Oh, yeah. Remember Oscar Isaac? And they were out, and then the thing came and blew him up, and it was sad. And that was a really cool part in the movie. It was the only thing that was really good, and it was sad that it was only a couple minutes. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
It's just very vaguely. Just a garbage fucking movie with just like a really awesome 10-minute segment with Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, dare I say it, better actor than Jeremy Renner.
Depending on the role.
Which is not to say that I dislike Jeremy Renner. I just think Oscar Isaac has a better body of work and a better presence.
And yeah, he can do a lot of different things too.
Mm-hmm.
He's much more versatile. Jeremy Renner's cool though. I like him. He's cool.
No, I don't dislike Jeremy Renner at all. I'm excited that he's going to be in the next Knives Out mystery, the next Benoit Blanc film.
That's gonna be fantastic. I can't wait.
Which is also funny because Jeremy Renner had a hot sauce that was prominently featured in Glass Onion.
Oh.
Jeremy Renner's hot sauce.
Getting that Halloween Scream thing.
Yeah,
they're showing each other's movies in their movies, but it doesn't make sense because if one is a movie in that universe, then how is the other one the movie in the other universe? I love it. Way into it.
So that's where we're at. But yeah, that's Gary Whitta. So this is only his second ever screenplay. He's written 3, all sci-fi, to, I would say, varying degrees of success. Of the 3, I'd say this is the least successful of his screenplays.
What are the other ones?
I just told you. It's
I thought he directed. I thought you were saying he directed those.
No. It's a Book of Eli and it's Rogue One.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
But he's got the story credit. He's the sole credited screenwriter on Book of Eli. He's a co-screenwriter with M. Night on After Earth, and he has a story by credit on Rogue One. So it's a tangled web we weave. But apparently he's buddy with Kevin Smith, and it looks like he's producing podcasts. He's got Animal Talking with Gary Whitta, and something called a TV series called Talk Guys Ultimate Chatting, which apparently has 13 episodes. Looks like it might be a talk show. Felicia Day, Jimmy O Yang.
Name for a show I've ever heard in my life.
Right? But his the only pictures of him on IMDb are of him and Kevin Smith.
Oh, word. Maybe they're pals.
The one thing he has directed are episodes of Animal Talking with Gary Whitta. Apparently it was a TV series. Gary Whitta, Animal Talking with Gary Whitta is a live virtual talk show hosted by Gary Whitta on Twitch. Oh, okay. That's why. Okay. The show is entirely created within a talk show set built in Animal Crossing New Horizons for the Nintendo Switch. So
TV show. Heavy air quotes.
The heaviest of air quotes. Ashley Johnson, Brie Larson, Selena Gomez, Danny Trejo, Elijah Wood, Kevin Smith, Simu Liu, Josh Gad, Felicia Day, Paul Scheer. He's had some good, Lisa Loeb. He's had some good guests.
Yeah. What's Lisa Loeb done in the last 30 years?
She stayed.
She did. She was in House on Haunted Hill, the remake.
Oh, there you go. I
Don't you
mean,
maybe?
I don't. I never saw it.
Oh, Steven, just for the beginning. Like, it's a really fun movie for, like, one of those late 90s, early 2000s remake, kind of the beginning of that phase where they were doing, like, 50s horror films and stuff. But just the beginning alone, because what's his nuts? Who's the guy who plays the bad guy in Mystery Men? What's that guy's name?
Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey Rush plays Vincent Price, basically.
Okay.
And Lisa Loeb is a reporter, and she's interviewing him for a new ride at his theme park. And just, I mean, even if you don't want to commit to the whole movie, look up the opening scene on YouTube, Steven, because it's fantastic.
You asked what Lisa Loeb has been doing, and
And
it
Jeffrey
looks
Combs
like
is in it.
mostly cameoing in a whole bunch of shit. Man, like she was in an episode of that '90s show.
Yes,
She was in an episode of Miracle Workers.
Yes, she was.
Episode of Robot Chicken. Episode of Family Guy. Episode of AP Bio. Fuller House.
She was.
She's a small role in Sandy Wexler. An episode of Community. The film Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah.
Mostly playing herself.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, you say that she only hears what she wants to, and I say stay, Lisa Loeb, stay with us. We love you. No, I do love Lisa Loeb though.
Stay.
I like Lisa Loeb. Stay. That song fucking rules, and I will brook no dissent on that point.
What soundtrack's that on, Steven?
A ton of them.
What soundtrack is that famous for being on, Steven?
Reality Bites?
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Oh, I'm so glad I got that right. Another movie I've never actually seen.
Steven!
I was a sheltered kid in the 90s.
Steven, are you an only child?
No, I have a little sister.
A little. Okay, you don't have an older sibling at all.
I don't know.
That's why you didn't see Reality Bites.
Yeah.
Because it's a little before my time, honestly. Barely.
Right. But you have an older sister.
I have an older sister. So
right.
Yes. I have
you have an older sister. I have a younger sister.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that I introduced her to was all the, the nerdy shit that I was into, like Star Wars and Star Trek and Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles and all that shit. Yeah.
And Gerbert.
I mean...
Gilbert?
Gerbert.
Who's that little orange puppet guy?
Gerbert!
Oh, I missed that guy.
I sent you a gif of Gerbert in the group chat or I put one in the group chat, and you about lost your damn mind.
I lost my mind. I absolutely lost my mind. I love that little dude, man.
It's Gerbert because Gerber is the baby food brand, and it's one letter off from the baby food. Yeah. But yeah, After Earth. So this movie has got, like, the early part has definitely got some Ender's Game vibes. And then we get, like, there's some Avatar vibes, some Predator vibes, particularly when you get, like, the big monster, the Ursa. And, oh, my God, can we just choreograph that scene just a little more? Like, I'm pissed that we saved it for the end. I kind of want that thing to be slowly hunting him the entire movie.
I don't want to go all John Barenthal on you, Stephen, but let me ask you something. How do those monsters see anything? How do they get around? If the only way that they can, quote unquote, see is by tracking pheromones, how do they move about terrain they are not familiar with? They were brought to this place. This is not a place they're familiar with. How, I mean, they don't have eyes. How do they know where they're going? How do they not constantly running into trees, falling off of cliffs, like impaling themselves on shit? How?
It's a less well thought out A Quiet Place. Another thing that I noticed, because A Quiet Place, it's the sound. Like they move around like by echolocation.
Which makes sense. Right. Yeah.
This is like, I mean, echolocation, but for scent. Yeah, it's not particularly well defined,
A rock
unfortunately.
a rock isn't afraid, man. A tree is not afraid.
Right, but maybe they emit like their own scents, and so they're able to separate those profiles from prey. I honestly don't know. I'm guessing because this movie is
Hand
not
wave,
interested in explaining it.
hand wave, hand
It's
wave,
one
hand
of
wave.
those things that a writer puts in a script because it sounds badass,
Yeah.
and then everyone who reads it goes, "That's badass. I like that." But no one asks the very obvious question that makes them go, "Oh, you
How do
know,
they
I, huh."
how do they
You know,
navigate?
that's a good.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't get to that point. I'm afraid,
Nope.
uh,
No.
which
That
is a
really
big old fucking bummer.
that really bothered me. I think I ranted. When I was done with this movie, I went outside and I was talking to my pal Marv, who's taking care of the campground tonight. And I think I ran into him for about 5 minutes about how stupid that was.
Appreciate you, Marv, for
Like
listening to Tucker's rants,
going
unhinged rants.
full Tukey on him for sure. He's too.
Oh, I'm sure he is. Still, we can sympathize with the guy. This movie wastes its female cast members, like utterly. You get some incredibly talented people like Sophie Okonedo and Zoe
Zoe
Kravitz, who
Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz might be the most beautiful human being to ever exist.
Oh, and I believe them as mother and daughter too because they have the same mouth, the same exact mouth and teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Like from here down, they're exactly the same person.
I mean, and
It's wild.
I love Sophie Okonedo. I think she should be doing more. She should be a bigger, more recognizable name because she's
I agree.
unbelievably good. This is we talked about her in Aeon Flux,
Hmm.
but she's nominated for an Oscar for Hotel Rwanda, Secret Life of Bees. Like, but she's in Death on the Nile, the one of those what's the Kenneth Branagh Hercule Poirot films, the second of those.
The Arliss
She,
Lovelace films.
as discussed on our Wild Wild West episode.
Yeah.
Um, she will be in our upcoming episode on Hellboy, 2019, because she's in that movie as well. But like,
Oh,
she is so good. Like, I love it when she shows up and shit. I just don't see her in very much. Like, it's like no one realizes how fucking good she is. And I wish more people realized it because damn it, she's great.
yeah.
She
Yeah.
really is great. She's a Secret Life of Bees, which is she's putting a little too much mustard on the sandwich on that one, but she is very good in that movie.
Nice.
But
I like
she's a
Martin
future
Short.
episode of this podcast, Stormbreaker. I
Fuck
mean,
was that?
she's been on a fair amount of failed franchise starters, but no, fucking great. Love her, love her. Want to see her do more. Please start putting Sophie Okonedo in more things, please and thank you.
I second that.
And yeah, again, Zoe Kravitz might be the most gorgeous human being on the face of the planet. I mean, she's the daughter of Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz. So,
Two
like,
very beautiful people.
two of the other most beautiful people. It's like she's like genetically engineered in a lab to be the most perfect human being. Like, my brain can't fathom the level of attractiveness. But here's the thing: she's also insanely talented. She's
Yeah, dude.
so good, and she's directing a movie that's coming out this year that I'm honestly excited to see. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
What
kind of
is
stoked
it?
to see it.
What
It's
is it?
called Blink Twice.
Oh.
It's got Channing Tatum, Naomi Aki, Alia Shawkat, Christian
Oh yeah.
Slater.
I've seen
Yeah.
the trailer for that. That I
Haley
don't know
Joel
what that's
Osment, Kyle
about, but it
MacLachlan. I
looks
don't either.
it's pretty wild.
I am fucking all in on it though. And the fact that Zoe Kravitz is directing,
That
right
that
up
makes
to the
me want
front
to
of my
see it even
list.
more. And speaking of famous kids directing movies, that
Mm-hmm.
movie Long Legs, I didn't have any interest in it until I heard it was directed by Oz motherfucking Perkins. Norman Bates is
Oh.
his son, dude.
Mm. I actually might go see that one for my birthday later this week.
Please do and let me know how it is because I think I'm probably going to see it on Monday. or Sunday,
Okay.
depending on when we record next week.
This episode, by the way, dropping on my birthday. So there's that.
Fantastic.
Just pause this episode wherever you are and sing happy birthday to me, and I will know, and I will thank you.
That's true. You'll be like how, like, even though Jaden couldn't hear his dad, he was like intuitively doing those things at the end.
Yes,
Where he's like, "Oh,
exactly.
you gotta go up to you." I can't even do the accent. You gotta go up to the mountain.
Well, no, because you say it like that, and it sounds like his character from, oh God, what's that movie? Tell the Truth. Is that Concussion?
Oh, I didn't see
That
that one.
really weird Oscar play that he did, Concussion.
That one. I didn't see that.
Yeah, yes, I think that is it. Tell the Truth. It's because it's not Collateral Beauty, so it must be Concussion. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, tell the truth.
Tell the truth, man.
Tell
That's
the
all we
truth.
can do.
That's all we
Maddie.
can do. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I love the world building of this, like all the creatures, effects, and shit, and the kind of design of the world feel very Avatar to me. Like, and this movie came out like 4 years after Avatar, so it has to be a point of consideration, particularly given how much they wanted to build this movie out after the fact. Like, they wanted
What
this
are you gonna
thing to be
do?
huge.
What's the okay? Look, here's the part of the show that we don't do sometimes, but when we remember to do it, we do it. So here it is, and shut the fuck up. What is the sequel to this? This is a This is a bottle story. This is a monster of the week story. This doesn't get it to be continued. This isn't a multi-arc thing. No, they did their thing. There was a thing. It happened. Everybody's deciding to move on and do different things. That would not make a good movie.
You do one of two things. One, the thing they would probably insist on doing is you make it about Jaden, who actually decides to follow in his father's footsteps and not work with mom, and like his, mission, his first mission as a ranger or something. Or second, what they should do is just expand out the world, tell other stories set in this world. Stories of the academy, stories of. So here's what they wanted to do, what they had planned to do. This was supposed to be, and this was Will Smith's initial pitch, was that this be the start of a multimedia franchise called 1000 AE. There was going to be a film sequel, a TV show, an animated TV show, and a live action TV show.
Oh, Planet of the Apes style.
Right. Webisodes, mobisodes, a
Oh
video
damn!
game,
Fuck.
consumer products, nice
Oh,
and vague there,
I
theme
want
park
the
attractions,
1008
documentaries, comics.
can koozie. Can I get a koozie?
Maybe.
That's
I
all I
mean, you
wanted.
can't now, but in some alternate world where this was a hit, maybe.
Maybe I'll jump into that timeline at some point. I'll bring one
And
back for you, Steven.
an educational program collaboration in partnership with NASA,
Oh, that would be so cool.
cologne and perfume lines,
That's dumb.
and an entire social media platform.
That's taking it a bit too far.
He wanted this to be an immersive audience experience, but the movie fucking bombed, and that was never going to happen.
No.
It's kind of one of those, the ambition is a little too big, a little too great, and so we don't end up quite getting there, because again, like you said, half of this stuff, how the fuck?
Yeah.
And not to mention the fact that there's a shit ton of like that people have pulled, like a shit ton of like Scientology shit in here, because there was a period around this time Will Smith is rumored to be flirting with Scientology.
Is he still Scientologized? Do we know?
I don't know. Jada, I'm sorry, we're keeping her name out of our fucking mouths this miniseries. His unnamed wife actually writes about that in her recent autobiography, where she announced that they've been separated for like 2 decades or whatever.
I almost bought that the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway.
I had a free
But
audiobook.
no, she But she says she never joined, and joining was never something that she had intended to do. But she absolutely used study tech, the Scientology like technology, to homeschool her kids.
Oh,
And apparently, Jaden really took to it, which might be why he's in this movie. But
that
I,
tracks. He's a little out there. He's a good kid, but he's a little out there, man.
the whole fear is not real thing kind of reeks of Scientology to me.
Yeah, and honestly, like a lot of the messages from movies that I like that have to do with fear is that fear is very helpful if you
Fear,
harness
well, I mean, if Dune
it in the
taught us
right
anything,
way.
it's that fear is the mind killer.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, usually the message is, you can conquer your fear, you can make that fear work for you
Right.
instead of being like you just don't have it. No, that's an actual medical condition. I heard a show on NPR a couple years ago where this lady just does not feel fear, not because she doesn't want to or because she's made herself not do it. It's because there's something wrong with her brain.
I believe it. Without problem, I believe it.
Yes. So I think maybe, I don't know, I guess it's a good talent to have when these monsters, the only way they can see you is they can smell your fear. But outside of that, that's a pretty fucking shitty way to live because fear is a motivator for a reason. Fear
And you,
exists for a reason in your psyche.
in a better movie, that would be the point of the film.
That's
In
what
a
I was
better
thinking it would be,
movie,
but nope. They steered right
right.
into it. Right
Yeah.
fucking into it.
Just like they do with that fucking storm at the beginning of the movie. Just steer right into it.
Why not? We gotta land somewhere.
Right. Exactly. Oh my god. It's yeah. And that's the shit that I don't like about this. And also you you're a little more positive on Jaden in this than I am. I no thank you. I
I think he
don't
has
really
the
care for what he's
physicality.
doing here.
I think he has the physicality for the role. It's really interesting to watch him do some of the things he does physically in this film, just because of his body type.
Sure.
Um,
I don't think
and
he has the emotionality or the personality to play
I don't.
this role though, I'm afraid.
Again, if this were a sci-fi original, he'd be perfect for the role.
Correct. Correct. But it's
Perfect.
not. It's a
He would
big
be.
budget
You'd be
Hollywood
like,
movie.
look, you're watching this on the Sci-Fi Channel, and you're like, oh damn, this is a pretty okay performance. You're watching it in a $130 million movie. You're like, it's okay, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's not terrible, but it's not good.
You ever notice that
For
M.
a
Night
moment.
Shyamalan loves working with kids?
Yeah. Wait, in what? Oh, because you got Haley Joel.
You've got in like every movie. So Wide Awake, a movie about a
Signs.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got Haley Joel in Sixth Sense, Spencer Treat Clark in Unbreakable. You got the Breslin kid and the Culkin kid in Signs. You've
Well,
got
he does a lot of families.
you got a shit ton of Rugrats in The Village. You've got there's the little kid who can read cereal boxes in Lady in the Water. You've got again all the kids hanging out with Mark Wahlberg and Zoe Deschanel in The Happening. The
Hey,
entire
kids, where's your
cast of
camera?
The Last Airbender is kids.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, kids! What? No.
Where's your
Um,
mother? Say hi to her for me.
the
Have you seen
main,
your mother?
the two main characters of The Visit are kids. The heroes of Split are kids. Glass might be the only one that doesn't have kids. There are kids on the beach that makes you old and there's a kid in Knock at the Cabin. Like everything he does has kids. Dude loves
Well, and
working with kids.
I think here's the deal. I think it's more a lot of his scripts are focused on families. There's always a family of some sort involved, and usually when you have a family, you have a child.
Mm,
So I don't think it's like he's like, I want to write stories about kids. It's more like I want to write stories about family stuff like Signs. Like, yeah,
right.
that's a family story. Even to an extent, The Sixth Sense, because it's the single mom. Well, is she a single mom
Yeah.
in The Sixth Sense? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't stand out to me, is what I'm saying.
I mean, it's something I kind of recognized as I was because, some directors don't want to work with kids because
Yeah,
kids can only keep
labor
certain
laws.
hours, blah, blah,
Yeah,
right? It's a whole thing. I mean, and if you're a certain director who directed a segment of the Twilight Zone movie, those don't matter anyway, and fuck
no.
it. and that's how people die.
Not
But whatever.
not even labor laws. Those are just safety laws, dude. Like
Well, but there were kids working too, so labor and safety laws. Dude was just breaking them left and right. Somehow
safety
got
labor
acquitted.
laws.
Not sure how.
Well,
Well,
man,
well,
man.
well.
Look, I don't think he meant to do it, but I think he deserves to go to jail for at least a bit for being reckless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think John Landis was like, I'm gonna straight up kill these motherfuckers, but he was
No,
reckless.
I don't think he was either. But again, it's kind of one of those guilt by omission kind of
He was
things.
careless and he was selfish, and people got killed because of it. So he should have
Exactly,
at least
and
gotten some
that's
kind of punishment.
exactly beyond like the slap on the wrist that he ended up getting or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, go. That probably the reason why we're never going to do Twilight Zone the movie, even though
Yeah.
it qualifies for our list.
I haven't
Um,
seen it since I found that out. It's been about 20 years, man.
I just this past week watched
I love
the
that movie.
the John Lithgow Terror at 30,000 feet segment of that,
I could watch
directed by
just the
George
other
Miller.
segments.
Yeah, there's a Joe Dante segment in there that fucking rules,
Yeah, I
dude.
know there is. The kick the can, dude. That kick the can is the
No,
shit.
that's
He didn't do kick
Spielberg.
the can?
No, we did It's a Good Life.
Oh yeah.
That's the one with Kevin McCarthy in it and like all those like canted like weird German expressionist angles and shit.
Yes, dude. Yes, dude. I know. I know.
Do
I
you?
get
Because you
my
just said it was fucking Kick the Can.
I get my anthology movies mixed up. You know, like Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt, the British one, not the show. I'm talking about the British movie.
Sure, sure.
Creep Show, all that shit coming out within like 2 decades of each other. I get a lot of those segments mixed up. The directors mixed up. I'm sorry, Steven, to have disappointed you.
My disappointment knows no bounds.
May
I'm sorry
would
to
you
say.
ever forgive me? Possibly. Just this once.
Potentially, maybe.
Okay. Keep
We'll
me
see.
updated. Let me know.
We'll see how
Let
it
me know if there's
works.
anything I can do.
We'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I don't think it's very good. And of course, this movie got ripped for nepotism because, of course, I mean, Will very clearly trying to make his son a celebrity.
I'm very torn on the whole concept of nepotism
Of the
because
nepo baby.
yes, I understand where people are like, well, I want to do that and I don't have those opportunities. I get that because I'm one of those people.
Sure.
You know, I dated a gal in high school who was very well to do, and she's a neurosurgeon who lives in Manhattan now. Her
Mm-hmm.
brother is a very famous opera singer in Germany right now, and her sister is a professional rugby player right now.
Right.
So I recognize that opportunities exist for different people for different reasons. But
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck are they supposed to do? Look, if you're the kid of someone famous and you want to do something, what are you just supposed to be like, oh, I can't do that because I don't want to be a nepo baby? No, follow your fucking dreams, dude. If you want to do something and you think you're good at it, go for it. And that's why
Because
I'm
they're
so torn
actually
on that.
attainable for you, unlike the rest of us. So.
Exactly. And that's where I'm torn because I get where people are like, that's not fair. Yeah, that's not fair. But what do you want them to do? Just not do it because you can't? What do you want them to do? What are they supposed to do? Not follow their dreams? Not do the things that they want to do just because they have a shit ton of money that they didn't have anything to do with getting? It's like, even if it's a shitty parent that's like an oil baron or something, those kids didn't do shit, man. Those kids were just born in the world randomly like the rest of us. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. That's why I'm torn on the nepo baby thing. I'm kind of split down the middle. I understand both sides and I don't know where I stand.
And there are, some. I think I think it's a question of privilege and whether or not you recognize your privilege. I think a lot of nepo babies are like, no, I got to where I am because I worked hard and blah blah blah. And I imagine that you think that's true, but the fact is, there are other people working 5 times as hard who don't even have their ability to get a foot in the door.
Yeah.
Like Nick Cage changed his last name because he didn't want people to associate him with Francis Ford Coppola, his famous uncle. And he's like, I don't want that to be the reason people think that I got where I am. and managed to carve it out. Like I remember, like within the industry, I think it was fairly well known, but like a lot of people were like, "Hey, did you know Nick Cage is related to Francis Ford Coppola?" Really? What? That's weird. Like, so yeah, I mean, it's out there, it happens, and then there are some people who absolutely recognize it, like Jamie Lee Curtis, who's like, "Yeah, that's right. My mom was Janet Leigh, my dad was Tony Curtis." What?
Yeah.
But she still like barely got cast in Halloween, and even then had to like languish in low budget horror movies for a number of years before she finally got to be Jamie Lee Curtis. So
I'm saying it's not a black and white issue. I think that's where I stand on it. I think context matters a lot. It's not there's a lot of gray in the whole nepo baby conversation. I hate it when people are like, "Oh, fuck nepo babies." And it's like every one of them because like there's a lot of I mean
but I
so
think
much
when
context.
when people think nepo babies, though, I think they think something like this, where the more famous parent is actually going, "I will do this with my kid. Doesn't matter if he's good. Doesn't matter if he wants to. He's going to do it because I want him to do it, and we're going to do it together." And that's what that is.
So you're saying this movie is the mission in this movie.
In
You remember the setup for
essence.
this where like they're trying to get closer or whatever and Jaden's mom in the movie talks
Mm-hmm.
to Will, and
Yeah.
then he's like, "Okay, you're coming with me on this mission."
Are you
That's
asking me or
movie.
telling me? Yeah.
That's this movie, dude.
That's the behind the scenes shit. Absolutely. I
Wild.
mean, because again, I've heard that Will did say, "Look, you want to be a part of my life, you got to do this shit with me." And after this, Jaden's like, "You know what? I'm a pass.
Yeah.
Maybe try the music thing for a little while, but I'm a pass on this movie shit. I don't want it."
Yo, to be fair though, they do seem to be. I do watch a lot of Will Smith's YouTube channel, and they
Mm-hmm.
do still like all three of them, Will and Jaden and Willow. They seem pretty fucking close.
Good. I am glad
That,
for
that
that.
makes me happy. Yeah.
Yeah. If nothing else, I'm glad for that. But yeah, this movie, it did not do so well at the box office.
Which
On a $130 million budget, it opens to 27.5, which is good enough for
ooh,
third place at the box office.
ouch.
Um, Not even the number one new movie of the week. It and then it goes on to gross just a little more than half of that at the domestic box office, 60.5
Ooh.
domestic. Now it does make up a lot of that in the international. You got 191 million international,
Oh,
which those are good numbers. But
yeah.
again, you got a sci-fi movie with Will Smith star power that's going to do well in the foreign markets.
Yeah.
Um, so the total worldwide box office 251.5 million worldwide, which is respectable,
I
but
feel like with
domestic's where you need to be.
well, and with the kind of marketing they would have done with this movie, especially internationally, that's them like they're all wiping their brow, going "whew," because they just
Right.
broke even.
Maybe breaking even. Right.
Nobody lost any money. Nobody made any money, but
Well, here's the
nobody
thing.
lost any money.
Here's the thing. Even in successful movies, nobody makes any money. Like people with like backdoor deals and shit, they're always like, "Yeah, apparently that movie never made money because I've not seen a cent from that movie." Like it's that kind of shit because Hollywood math is notoriously awful and only benefits the studio heads. So there you go.
Yeah, hooray for art.
So oh, I got the daily chart open. Damn it, Steven, get the weekend chart open
Can't
for
believe
this
you've done
weekend.
this.
I'm awful. What can I
I'm
say?
so mad at you right now.
You should be.
I'm
I'm
rage building.
that little thing just saved your life.
It's
All
the,
right, so
the not so goody mob.
the not so
Yeah.
goody
And
mom.
Michael Bay's there. It's
Yep,
a great time. I'm gonna watch that probably tomorrow if I have a
dude.
chance.
Can we bring the brewskis? Yes, of course. You may most certainly bring the brewskis. This movie opens May 31st, 2013. It opens at, as I said before, number 3 behind the second weekend of Fast and Furious 6,
Oh,
the, I would say, third best in the franchise.
oh, and I mean, you are
I like that
famously an
franchise.
expert. Yeah, you
I'm
love
not an
the
expert, but I like that franchise. Yeah, it's a good
Well, here's
franchise.
the thing, like, we respect your view on cinema, and for you to embrace a franchise like The Fast and the Furious, it makes me feel like we should really listen to what you have to say about it, Steven.
It's fucking good. I'm just saying, I've not seen X yet, and I don't remember 9, so I really need to just do a full franchise rewatch and just get back into it.
Let me know when you do, because I want to watch it with your excitement fueling me.
Okay. All right. I tried it earlier this year, and then I ended up abandoning it because I got busy. But yeah.
Yeah, do better.
In second place, opening new this week. This is the number 1 new movie from Lionsgate. Now You See Me,
Oh,
a movie with the maybe the most wasted sequel potential ever in the sequel of the name of that sequel. You know what they actually called the sequel to that movie, Tucker?
now you see me too.
Yeah. You know what they should have called it?
Now you see me again.
No, you don't.
Yeah, dude.
Wasted potential. After Earth in third place. In fourth place, God, I really didn't like this movie. I liked this movie so I saw it in theaters, didn't like it. Didn't like it so much I didn't see the one that came after it, and neither did anyone else. That one ended up being very good, and they stopped making them after that. It's Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, I liked Into Darkness.
Oh, Into Darkness was the bad one.
I liked it. I didn't.
In fact,
like
I think Into Darkness might be my least favorite Star Trek movie.
I liked the second one. I thought the third one just felt like a really long episode of a TV show that we should be watching instead of these movies.
No, I really, really loved the third one because it felt like a TV show, but like less in the way that like Insurrection felt like an episode of the TV show.
Yeah, but let me tell you something about Into Darkness, Steven. I got 2 words for you. Peter Weller.
You are kind of a slut for Peter Weller. It's true.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I really, really am. There's so many jokes I want to say right now that are just really, really crude, and I'm just going to on all of them. Because I'm like a slut. Yes, that's the perfect way to put it.
And we'll leave it there. We'll just let that one sit and let that one stew.
Peter Weller.
In fifth place, future episode of this podcast, Epic.
What if that one?
What if a movie was epic?
Yeah. What if there was an epic?
What if there was an epic in its second week? Yeah, I guess we will. And in sixth place, rounding up the top 10, in sixth place, you've got The Hangover 3. In seventh place, you've got Iron Man 3.
Meh.
In eighth place, Baz Luhrmann's The Great Gatsby.
No thanks.
In ninth place, I'm going to butcher the name of this movie. I've never heard of this movie. Ye Jawani Hai Diwani. I don't know what this is. Oh, this is a Bollywood movie. Okay.
Oh.
Right on.
Cool.
That's awesome. Did not do very well domestic, but made a decent amount in India. So there you go. And in 10th place, Mud.
Fuck is that?
It's the Matthew McConaughey movie, Mud.
Oh yeah, where he's all muddy.
Yeah, where he's mud. He plays mud.
He rolls in the mud and then he becomes muddy.
Right. You got it. You memby.
I've basically seen it at this point.
There you go. The tomatometer score on this one is a 12%. Critics' consensus after Earth is a dull, ploddingly paced exercise in sentimental sci-fi, and the latest setback for director M. Night Shyamalan's once promising career.
Dude, yeah.
Oof. The Metascore on this one is a 33 based on generally unfavorable reviews from 41 critics. And the Letterboxd score. Tucker, want to take a guess as to the Letterboxd score of 2013's After Earth?
Between 1.9 and 2.3.
1.7.
Whoa, Letterboxd. I'm sure you'd have some meme reviews for this shit. Some 5-star, senseless, ridiculous bullshit.
I mean, there are 1,292 5-star reviews. However, there are 25,801 1-star reviews, 21,662 2-star reviews.
The hate is too strong.
17,203 half-star reviews, and 15,562 1.5-star reviews. So
It's the hate is just even more powerful than Letterboxd can handle.
the
That's
hate is
impressive.
swelling in you now.
Like an elf, I thought I was lowballing it. Honestly, I thought they were gonna surprise me and like because they're silly over there just for
Yeah,
fun,
they can be.
not for
Sometimes they
any
can
reason,
be.
not for any reason, but for fun, just for the memes, meme reviews.
Right. I
Fantastic.
mean, as evidenced by Marmaduke, I guess. But yeah. So Tucker, out of 5 stars, how are you rating 2013's After Earth?
It gets 2 stars from me because honestly, about a third of the way through this, I was like, if I just kind of change my perception of this and think of it as like the most expensive sci-fi original ever made, I might have a good time.
It's probably the
And
right way to do it.
when I did that, I had a little bit of a good time.
Okay.
I was able to accept some of the shortcomings in the performances and such when I looked at them in a way. I kind of lowered my expectations even lower than they already were. It's a superpower of mine. But I had a little bit of fun. I kind of want to watch this again just to put the nail in the coffin so that I hate it.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure I hate this movie. But
I mean, it's on your chuffa list on your Voodoo.
I was able to, just kind of change my way of thinking and still enjoy this movie. So I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with it, but 2 stars.
Okay.
2 stars.
It's a 1.5 for me because I really dug the world building, and even though I think they're wasted, I think both Zoe Kravitz and Sofia Coppola are great in this.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So there you go. That is our episode on 2013's After Earth. Welcome to After Earth, I guess, is the way to say that. But
Off to Earth.
welcome to Earth. That's how Cypher Rage would say welcome to Earth from Independence Day.
Yeah, dude.
Do you know where we are? We are on Earth. But yeah, tune in next week for the final episode of Gettin Jiggy in July, or is it? Wink. But we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. We hope, unless life finds a way. But until then, let's plug some shit. Yeah, let's plug our shit. This is the Disenfranchised Podcast. You can find us wherever podcasts are sold. And while you're out there, if you could leave us a 5-star rating and review, we surely would appreciate it and would definitely read that review on the podcast, live on the podcast. And
I'd even do a silly voice if you want me to.
If
Just
you
tell me
want
a
to.
silly voice.
Yeah.
I can do some. I'm pretty okay at some impressions. Some.
Do you have a Christopher Walken?
I do, but I don't want to give it away. I don't want people to know if it's good or not.
Okay.
I'll
Because
tell
I mean,
you, for
everyone.
me,
Go ahead.
look, it's about a 7 out of 10
Okay.
on my impression scale.
All right. What's the one you do the best?
Shit, I don't know, man.
You don't have like one in your back pocket that you kind of go to and pull out?
I was doing somebody the other day. I don't remember who it was. Fuck, I don't know, man. I just try everybody really, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Right on. But yeah, go ahead and if you want us to read some more stuff you've written on the podcast, shoot us an email, disenfranchpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of the podcast. Let us know what failed franchise starters that we haven't covered that you would like to see us cover. If we could revisit an episode, what episode would you like to see us revisit? But shoot us an email. We'll read that on the pod as well. You can find us on social media. We are at disenfranchpod on, what is it, Blue Sky and Letterboxd, Instagram, YouTube, something else. I don't remember. I don't know,
Threads?
man.
Is there Threads still?
No,
Do we
I
thread?
mean we're on Threads, but I don't use Threads.
Well, we don't thread.
We don't thread.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we should start
Should we thread some more?
now that the king of Blue Sky has been publicly disgraced. Maybe we should go to Threads.
Was Blue Ski ever a thing though? Because I don't feel like it was. I feel like you tried to make it a thing, but it was never a thing.
I mean, I'm there. Other people might not be, but I'm there. I'd rather do that one than the one owned by Zuckerberg, dude.
I just want you to know that I've never, ever heard any other human being mention Blue Sky. nor have I ever seen an article about it on the internet. I've never seen it mentioned on Reddit. Outside of your mention of it, I have no knowledge of it, Steven.
Okay.
Yeah.
You feel
Just
better?
out there. I mean a little. I was kind of hoping for a little validation, but that's fine.
Okay. I mean,
I don't
for
need it.
me,
Yeah, I mean, just because we're friends, honestly.
I mean, I love you, but no.
I know. That's all I needed. Thank you. Okay.
But yeah. And disenfranched at gmail dot or no, I already said that. Patreon.com/disenfranched.
There it
Uh,
is.
you get the official conversation. Join the free feed for episodes for the weekly main feed episodes. Pay $5 a month for all the paywall content, and there is a significant amount of it. So go check that out. Tucker, when are we releasing another episode? That episode of What Are We Watching that we recorded not that long ago?
Oh, Steven, I'm glad you asked. You mean the 2 episodes of What Are We Watching that we recorded for June? Are those the
Yes,
ones that you're talking about?
they sure
Now it
are.
is halfway through July and nary a one of them has dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you, I don't know. It's been busy. Look, after about the 3rd week of June, the campground gets so busy that you wouldn't even believe me if I told you how busy it got. You
I
wouldn't
mean,
believe
I
it.
would.
Like I barely have time to do anything. I barely have to do any kind of podcasting stuff. Most of the time, pretty much all the time this season, I've been doing my editing at work because that's the only time I have to do it late
Right.
at night at work. So it's been rough trying to find time to do it.
Except for when your computer broke last week.
That's true. Though I don't think I really had time to do it then either. Like I'm glad you took over last week for the main feed episode because I didn't know how the fuck I was going to get that done. Even if I've had my computer.
So if the main feed episode sucked last week, it's all on me.
Look, I listened to the intro. It sounded fine. I listened to the intro and then the transition, and it sounded fine.
Okay. Right on.
I didn't
I'll
listen to
take
the
it.
whole thing, so about 5 minutes total.
So
But
you also didn't listen to the whole thing. How dare you?
I wish I had time. I wish I fucking had time, man. I really would.
I get
I
it,
would listen
man.
to it.
I
But
do.
it's gonna cool down. A couple weeks, it's gonna cool down. I am gonna try tomorrow and in the subsequent days to see if I can't get them both out. Honestly, because it wouldn't take me long. Because those I don't like nitpick through those. I just skim through and make sure there's no dead air or like
Right.
anything. So it takes me on a 2-hour podcast, it would take me about 25 minutes to get it done.
All right.
Whereas like with the main feed, because the way I do it, a 2-hour podcast would take me basically all night and a little bit of the next night.
Right. Yeah. Because yeah, you've created more work for yourself, but it's enhanced the listening experience. So we call it a wash.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
But yeah, head on over to patreon.com/disenfranchisepod. And maybe soon Tucker will release those already recorded episodes of What Are We Watching? And yeah, what? Oh yeah, I'm your host Stephen Foxworthy. Find me. I'm at Chewy Walrus on most social platforms. Some of them I use, some of them I don't. I don't know. Find me, figure it out. Brett doesn't really do socials anymore, so don't follow him. Tucker, where are you these days?
Brett still likes my stuff on Instagram sometimes. He's lurking. He's
He
lurking.
does.
Speaking of, I am on Instagram at ice909, ICENINE, the number 0 and the number 9. That's also where you can find me on YouTube. Also, there's the Tuck Mugs on Instagram, Tuck_mugs.
Tuck Mugs.
I've been spreading the word about Tuck Mugs, man. I've been getting people interested in Tuck Mugs. I know sometimes it feels like it takes us a while to get stuff out, but it's always worth it. It's always worth it. Did you the Ari's mug that we put up like a couple weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And it's a
Yeah,
perfect
great mug.
example. It's a perfect example of where, like, look, on my posts, I'll write a fucking novel about a mug.
Yeah, you will.
You don't have to.
Yeah, you will.
You don't have to. Just a little
No.
blurb that gets the point across. That's fine too. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I did find it a bit odd that the person that actually writes books just put like a sentence instead of like a couple paragraphs. But you know,
She's busy dedicating her time to
she's
writing
busy
actual
writing books.
books.
Yeah,
All right, cut her
I
some
tease.
slack.
I tease anyway. We are friends. We're all friends.
We are friends.
But check out Tuck Mugs, Tuck_mugs. Sometimes we update it, sometimes we don't. I'd say we get a couple things in there each month.
We try.
A self-published and a guest mug usually.
We try.
It's
We
worth
try.
it. And you know
Yeah.
what? If we did it all the time, it wouldn't be as special. If we were dropping like 3 or 4 times a week, then it would just get boring. But
Mm-hmm.
like when it's something you anticipate and you wait for, and then finally it drops, you're like, oh, look at that mug. That's fantastic. That's that's the way to do it. I would like to post more, but I definitely don't want to post a shit ton for sure. So anyway, Tuck Mugs, Tuck_mugs. That's where I am on the internets, on the infernets. Check me out.
Infernets.
The end.
All right, cool. And that's all she wrote. That is our episode on 2013's After Earth. Join us next week for the final installment of Gettin Jiggy in July, or is it Wink? And so until next time, this has been the Disenfranchised Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Foxworthy, from my co-host, Tucker, and the absent Brett Wright. Until next time, remember, the danger is very real, but fear is probably also very real. I'm afraid of everything, especially you.